Female footballers scared about rising ACL injuries. Well, maybe women shouldn't be playing football. What about the brain injuries we were told about heading the ball? Is the female body really suitable for this professional sport? Now they're trying to persuade females to go fighting, martial arts, boxing. It's not feminine, it's not natural. And here we have players can't deal anymore with this overload. I think we have far too much. I mean, I don't like football. I mean, you can play it, I understand. But in reality, is he got a 33 there? Look, probably. In reality, there's far too much sport. And here's another 33. Alvaro is the oldest 33-year-old in boxing history. Sport, sport, sport. Tattoos. It's all completely meaningless. I mean, I can understand why people like watching sport, but it's just trivia. It doesn't matter whether your team wins or loses. Look. Don't ditch condoms. I think that woman's face is, look, red hair, tattoos. I've stabbed someone, now I try to stop others. You know, this type of bullshit that they promote. It's just diarrhea, isn't it? Charity deletes misjudged post. The UK is less equal than 50 years ago. So are you trying to tell me that 50 years of wokery and bloody virtue signalling and propaganda where every advert has a black person in it means we're less equal than 50 years ago? I'd like to turn back the clock. I mean, to be honest, there were people even then who knew what was going to happen. I mean, Enoch Powell warned against it. And here we have people like him who is obviously a mixed race person but makes a living from playing the black card. You know, a lot of these people who like promote black causes aren't even black. You know, Obama. Apparently, I mean, we don't really know about Obama, but his mother supposedly was white. You know, Lewis Hamilton is another person who likes to pretend to be black. He's got a white mother. Right? Very common. This story looks a bit odd to me. School bus in Enway horror. The family like privacy, but they've released this picture of her. Oddly enough, she seems to be on a bus or a car. Girl of 15 and driver killed. I'm not joking. They are capable of staging even things like this. For whatever reason. I'm not saying this is staged, I actually don't know. But they've got a phenomenal number of police vehicles there. They don't deal with the issue. What you do in an incident like this is we know that there's going to be car crashes and vehicle incidents. It's going to happen. The thing you do is you clear up take people to hospital as quickly as you can and you clear up the mess and try and figure out later what happened. That's it. And open the roads. But what they do, of course, is they close down the roads, send a million guys in leather, in high-vis jackets. Why finding alien life is now only a matter of time. This whole alien stuff. Experts are optimistic of detecting life signs. Possibly in the next few years. So are we going to be invaded then? Is that going to happen? Is it Operation Blue? Is it Blue Beam or whatever? When they're going to have look, the alien invasion thing is one of the things that they're going to line up, and the question is, are people going to believe it? Are we going to do like the War of the Worlds, where people, where people panic because of an alien invasion? Personally, I think the whole UFO and aliens thing is a government psyop. It's one of those things, like they say chemtrails is conspiracy theory. I think UFOs are a conspiracy theory. I don't believe in this alien life at all. I mean, and if they had any sense, they couldn't be that intelligent if they'd want to visit us here. So I think any talk of alien life is a government psyop, and they're behind it. You notice that if it's bullshit, they promote it. The media are quite keen on this alien stuff. They don't say alien life is a load of bollocks. There's no UFOs. It's just something in the sky we can't explain. There are a lot of things which you can't explain. Doesn't mean it's UFOs or little green men. And it's funny how people's perception of UFOs and aliens is kind of like built upon our image, little thin green men and stuff with big eyes or something. Why would aliens have to look anything like us, or any animal for that matter? You see, we've got so little imagination. There's no evidence of UFOs at all. It's all dreams, really, dreams. Ex-gang leader charged with Tupac murder. They can't even solve a crime that happened yesterday. We're supposed to believe Tupac was actually a guy who was on the right track. He knew there was something going on. Another one was Aaliyah. She also knew. I wouldn't be surprised if Tupac was killed on government orders. Climate, war in Ukraine. These are linked incidents. The war in Ukraine was NATO caused. By the way, I've been watching quite a lot of Russell Brand recently, and I have to say I really like his content. I mean, I can't say for sure whether he's a shill or not. Obviously, he's worked in Hollywood. He was married to Katy Perry. He's got a 33-2. These things don't exactly inspire confidence. Having said that, his content is good. What he says is true. So I'd prefer to consider that as if he's a shill, all right, well, like I said, judge people by what they're doing. Maybe there's a end game in all this, or maybe they're simply trying to link the truth with, seedy behaviour, because, what they're trying to suggest is, look, forget what Russell Brand's saying, because 20 years ago he showed his dick to someone. You know what I mean? It's completely irrelevant. I mean, these guys are high on drugs, on fame, got shed loads of money coming out of their ears, and have women throwing themselves at them. So it's hardly surprising that a much younger man with all those opportunities will be like a kid in a candy shop. You can't expect them to keep their hands off the sweets if you got them in overnight. So even though Brand's admitted to be salacious, especially when he was young, I mean, I actually know someone who's met Russell Brand, and he didn't even know who he was at the time, because apparently his brother knew him. And he says he was a nice bloke. And this guy doesn't even especially agree with what Russell Brand has to say. So I think it's irrelevant whether Russell Brand. I think it's something we can ignore. I mean, because don't forget that if the government don't like someone, one of the things they do is to try to persuade you that actually he works for them. So that way they can try and knock off a percentage of the people who might be interested in following what has to be said. I want to hear what people are saying. I've been listening to Russell Brand recently, and everything he says, forget who's saying it, forget his long hair and open neck shirt. I don't think Russell Brand's ever done his shirt up in his whole life. I've never seen Russell Brand without his open shirt. But regardless of all that, and regardless of the truth or falsehood of the allegations made against him, which frankly really do look like a stitch up to me. I mean, the media obviously under government instructions to attack him. But, as I said, I don't know, and neither do you, if Russell Brand is a faker of some sort. But I do know, having listened to him recently for the first time, because I personally had always sort of dismissed him as, oh God, there's so many sincere people out there who are not famous. Why would I need to get this kind of information from a famous guy? So personally, I'm much more keen to watch the content of sort of because the media can create you. I mean, if the media wanted to, they could pump me up, and I could be as famous as Russell Brand. I could be. They decide. They basically. So the question is, of course, how come we know about Russell Brand? Well, let's be honest. To start with, Russell Brand was a kind of mainstream comedian. He did mainstream stuff on the BBC, and I'm guessing that in order to keep his job, and perhaps he didn't even care or know at that time, he just did the usual mainstream blah 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 blah, which is famous for the radio, radio blah 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 blah, car crash on M4, how tragic, oh no, hearts and minds, sympathy, devastated, gutted, blah 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 blah, sports, celebrity, crappy yucky talk, because this is basically what a lot of it is. It's just verbal nonsense, really. But maybe at some point he thought, well, you know what, maybe he had an epiphany. Maybe he woke up. It was a bit like Bobby Fischer. Bobby Fischer became a truth seeker, and even though he was at least partly Jewish, he became a hated figure because he realised something was going on. I think it made him lose interest in chess. And I'm guessing that people like Carlsen and others who are geniuses at chess probably haven't spent much time or any time at all because they just want to be good at chess. So in order to be good at chess or to be brilliant at chess, you basically just have to think about chess and nothing else. But Bobby Fischer was interested in what was going on. He realised there was something wrong. And frankly, although he was a brilliant chess player, he didn't quite know how to get his eye. They just said, "Oh, he's eccentric. He's an eccentric conspiracy theorist, and he's lost the plot and blah blah blah." You see, he went off message. What they wanted him, and they wanted him to win at chess, and that's it. And the Americans could bask in some reflected glory. I mean, people who couldn't even play chess. It's a wonderful game. Unfortunately, it's very, very hard to find anyone to play against. Everything is done online now. If you want to do anything, you've got to do it online. Everything is online. They'll be playing. That's why we have esports, because people can play online games. I mean, I'm a retro person. I like to play games. I want to play board games with people, but I don't know anyone I can play with. Family people, they just want to stick to family, their own family. So I'm reduced to, single people, but I don't really know that many. Most people are. And then, of course, people haven't got much time. And even people who have time don't want to share it. So, in a way, you're kind of on your own. In a way, that's the way it is. But perhaps if I could teach a pet to play chess, that might help. Tax rise, vicious circle must stop. Of course, in order to pay for this lockdown, one of the consequences of it was an enormous rise in public debt. These PPE and all these kickbacks and all these drugs cost billions, and it has to be paid for, and it will be paid for at some point. So these drug companies have made billions, and in the end, you're going to have to pay for it. So regardless of the medical efficiency of all this stuff, you've got to do a cost-benefit analysis. It's costing the public billions. It's costing individuals billions. Taxes will have to rise in order to pay for it. So when you went along with the COVID lockdown, you also went along with the tax rises. Because if the government are trying to balance their books, even in a vague sense, I mean, America is so much in debt. Is it 33 trillion? I don't know. That number has a nice sound to it. It can never pay its debts back. The debts are impossible. In fact, every year the United States has to raise the debt ceiling. I mean, debts are something you're technically supposed to pay down. It's extraordinary. They'll come after you for a very small debt. You'll get threatening letters for a very, very small debt. But who's going to send threatening letters to the government? And exactly who do they owe the money to anyway? I mean, who is the if we've got debt, we need to ask, why can't we just write the debt off? Who's the $33 trillion owed to? Why don't they send in the bailiffs? You see, our whole economy is run on a destructive basis. Basically, it's designed to collapse at some point. Thank you for your time.